But going back to the whispers, because this is so important, James. We're all born with this power. We're all born with this amazing purpose. Like what you want to do and be when you're little, what you enjoy doing and being, that's what you were designed to do. And so many people take that and think, well, that's just what I did as a kid. That was just exciting, but now I got to go into the real world. No, you don't. The real world is the matrix. The real world is the one that you create with your own thoughts and reactions.
Welcome to the Work Hard People's Podcast. Hope everybody out there is having a fantastic day. I'm James Gilbert, the old guy. We have Mark Newbauer with us. How are you doing, sir?
Great, James. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, it's my pleasure. Just so everybody knows, I can tell you right now, I've been counting the days. Mark is he does lots of things. He's a man who wears many hats, but there's three main reasons that I really wanted Mark to come on here. And number one, he's got a great story. I love his story, number one. Number two, he really understands how personal development can benefit you as an individual and benefit every aspect of your life. And number three, the guy just fires me up, if I'm being honest. He really gets me motivated. And so I'm so grateful to have you. Mark has his background. I mean, he's done acting, producing, directing. He owns his own production company or media company, and we'll definitely list all this information in the description of the show here, as well as he is an insurance agent. Now, I say that lightly because we're going to talk a little bit more about that because that is a huge part of your journey. But first, Mark, what was it that drew you to that artistic side to say, you know what? I like this film thing. I kind of like production and acting and stuff. What was that as a kid that happened, or?
Definitely as a kid. I don't know when it started. I'd probably have to have a little meditation session to find the real origin story, right?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't a latchkey kid or anything. My parents were home quite a bit, had a great environment, but I just loved TV. And I mean, I would memorize the TV guide. I knew what was on at what time. I knew what was going to happen because of the description. And then what really put me over the top was when the VCR was invented. And my parents brought home this thing where we could watch movies whenever we wanted. And now there's a store that you can go to and watch movies, of any kind at any time. And that just, I guess, really had me getting so interested in the process beyond what we're seeing on screen. I guess that's the part I haven't really thought about when or where that happened. But, as opposed to just loving TV for the sake of TV, I started, remembering actors' names and then all of a sudden I see a funny person, like a Richard Pryor now in a serious part, and you don't even know his story at that age. You just think he's a funny guy, right? Until you learn all the stuff he's been through. And so I think I really just became movies and TV are just such a fascinating reflection, if you will, of the human experience. And whether, someone's trying to get run across the country or save the world from an asteroid or, everything in between, or just getting by, right? I think it's just such a great way to showcase the human experience in a way that everybody can relate. I mean, we've heard it time and time again, but there's nothing for a lot of us. There's nothing like that feeling of going into that, that dark room and experiencing the same thing with all these strangers, right? Over a period of 2 hours, no matter what your difference is, no matter anything else, you've got this relatable, communal, universal experience. And I'm even getting chills talking about it because for me, that's what draws me, is being a part of this industry, this business that gets to, put on these plays for lack of a
It
better
brings out
term.
emotion, right? I mean, when
Absolutely.
we watch movies or TV shows, my kids laugh at me because I am, I'm a big dude. I spend a lot of time in the gym. I'm totally into that lifestyle, but I am the biggest softie on the planet. And I could have my kids over, they're all grown, but we could be watching a movie and there'll be a soft part in there, and the first thing they do is look at me to see if there's that tear coming down on dad's eye.
Oh my gosh, my kids do the same. I try to sit like this in the movie theater because I know it doesn't matter what happened or what I'm watching. If it's a well made film, I'm going to be touched at a certain point, and that's how I gauge whether or not I really got something out of a movie. Is you plenty of us have sat through movies or TV shows where you see it, you enjoy it, it might even be well done, right, aesthetically, but you haven't felt anything. So
Hmm.
if I didn't tear up, if I didn't get chills, if I didn't laugh, if I'm not afraid to go in the hallway now by myself, right, then it didn't do its job. But when that stuff happens,
Mark, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's one of the things in our very brief interaction that we had before this. Um, it's one of the things that immediately drew me to was your passion. You have passion about the things that you're involved in, about your family, and just life in general. And that's why I said you're infectious. You bring you fire me up. Your passion fires me up, helps me want to be. And I'm a pretty passionate guy myself, right?
yeah,
So
you're getting me
it,
fired up.
yeah, it's like I'm like feeding off it. Like, yeah, let's go. I'm ready to do this now. So I love it, man.
That's
So
awesome.
so you took that love, and then did you go to like film school or anything like that to like further that, or did you just go in and just jump into trying to produce and act and stuff?
Yeah, I think acting was the very first inclination because, in real life, just the same, I love making people laugh at school, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't mind if I got in trouble, if it made somebody's day happier, right? If I could make somebody laugh and I get what was the N24 was the conduct mark on our report card. I remember I'd always get that N24. I don't know what it meant or how they got it, but I got it every quarter because I just love, you know, seeing if I can make people laugh for the most part. So I really looked up to the people from Second City because that was, as I learned, was a feeder school for Saturday Night Live, and I just love what they were doing on shows like Saturday Night Live, David Letterman, like these kind of subversive, like we're gonna be real and we're going to comment on some stuff. I don't really like agenda based things on either side. I'm pretty neutral myself. Like I believe we should be observers in this life, not judges, right? But
Yeah.
at the same time, I love when people have an opinion and they're able to express it creatively, without being at a podium, right? It happens seamlessly, and that's what storytelling is supposed to be. So I loved initially just the acting part because I remember, for instance, like John Ritter on Three's Company. Now I'm totally
Yeah.
dating myself, but
I'm
anywhere from
right there with
him,
you, man.
yeah, right. Michael J. Fox as Alex P. Keaton, like
Yeah.
some of these Bruce Willis on Moonlighting. I mean, that was my hero, right?
Yeah.
Just that banter that he and Sybil Shepherd had in that show.
Yeah.
So I love just, and I wasn't even thinking of how much writing went into that behind the scenes, right? So the thing that most of us see in the beginning, and that's why movie stars and everything else just came to be, was that face that represents the project, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to be an actor and acted quite a bit. I mean, I did everything from, musicals to plays. Any chance we got, if somebody's family had a video camera, we'd be sneaking it out of the house and making, little movies and things like that.
Yeah.
So I just love doing that. And all the way up through, I'd say around college time, you got to tell me when to stop, James, because I could just,
Hey, you're
oh, what
good,
time,
man. You're good.
what time
I'll,
is
I'll guide you
it?
right in where I want you to go. I promise.
Good. Because I did, I did not do well my first year of college because I had to go, you graduate from high school and you're like, oh, great, I can do anything I want to do. And then you're like, oh, shit, oh, shoot, I can do anything I want to do. Right.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like
I
this,
know. I
it's
know.
this double edged sword. And
Yeah.
well, if, and that's why I am so
Well,
focused
hey,
on
Mark,
personal development.
you think about it. You have the freedom, but you
Yes,
don't have the discipline or the development to enjoy the freedom correctly, right?
yes, and that's what
Anything can pull you in anything to any direction, right?
that's right. And our programming and limiting beliefs, right? As we get more into talking personal development, you still, even if you, I love that age because in high school, I think especially, at least I hope that's still the case. I feel like it is with my kids. You're still dreaming in high school. And I don't even like to say dreaming because we know now that those dreams become, any dream can become reality if you're willing to do whatever that sweat sacrifice is required to achieve it, right?
100%.
Um, and then you get out of that, of that stage with the dream still in your head. And now real life kicks in and you realize you don't just do it, you have to work for it. You have to become something different at each level, right? And most people start giving up at that point and start making compromises. And I think subconsciously, I really felt like I was doing that because I went to, it was Indiana, Purdue University, kind of combined in our town in Indiana. And I thought, well, because you have so many people saying, well, okay, acting was fun, but now you need to get a real job, so what are
Yeah.
you going to do? And you're like, oh, I do, and I guess again, a lot of that's your environment. So I thought becoming a lawyer would be the next best thing, right? You're in front of people, you're impacting people, you're,
Acting in
now I
front of the
laugh.
jury.
Yeah. So I laugh at the notion now, but I took poli sci and a couple of these classes that were way over my head. I mean, it was, I got an A in an advanced English literature class, and I got D's and F's in poli sci and society and this and that. So go figure, right? And I got this nice letter from the university around my birthday saying, "Hey, maybe you should take a semester off." It was really like a polite,
Yeah.
"Don't come back" kind of
Yeah.
letter.
Figure it out,
And that
brother.
was like, oh, I just felt lowest of low because not because it wasn't something I loved doing that I didn't achieve, but it was something that I didn't achieve, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so you kind of have that feeling of shame. And I remember I was doing like temp jobs at everywhere from dye molding plants to factories, and during that semester. And thank God for my parents. They're like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to do Second City. And they're like, well, no, you got to go to college. We're still in that. In our generation, it was still like, what are you going to do if you're not going to
Well, yeah,
college, kind of
college
thing.
college was the answer, right? If you didn't go to college, you were a failure. I
Right,
mean, that's
right.
kind of what society told you. Oh, you don't have a degree. Oh, you're
Unfortunately,
just a tech worker, or you're going to drive a truck, or you're going to work in a factory. You're nothing.
exactly. They had us convinced, right?
Hmm.
And that's the first really sad thing. I tell my kids all the time, don't please go to college if you have something that you really did passionate about. You want to go to college for, but
Yeah,
if not, Symmetry's been the best college I could have ever asked for. So come on board,
yeah.
turn 18 and get your insurance license and be around people that love personal development and personal growth.
No,
So,
I, real quick, when you said that, so I've been with Symmetry since the end of May of this year. And I told you a little bit about this. I had that injury that kind of I can't do anything outside the house as far as work goes. Most 90% of my coaching's done online. I do coach some people at the local gym, but um and I kind of fell into Symmetry just looking because I had been in the business before back in the early 2000s. I actually got my Series 7 and Series 6 in
wow, me too.
2008. Yeah, I was the vice president of investments for JP Morgan Chase. I went
UBS.
down that path. Yeah, so I went down that path, right? But I had left it. I got tired of managing money because I really, really care about people, and the ebbs and flows of the market was driving me crazy. So I was moving into management. Like, uh, I've always kind of navigated towards coaching, like personal development, building people up. It's my nature. It's my passion. It's what I love to do. And so I was moving. Matter of fact, I was studying for my Series 24, which, for those that don't know, is the actual management license in the brokerage world, so that you can oversee other agents. And
Right.
but I got out of that, and but I stumbled on Symmetry, and there was a lot of, I had all these different companies saying, "Hey, yeah, you can work from home with us, select quote, this, that, all this other stuff." And, the one line that got me was, "Hey, James, we're an insurance company, but not really. We're a personal development company. And we're going to help build you as an individual. We use insurance as that tool to help families, which is great because I do understand the need for that product on many different levels. It helps families deal with some of the most tragic times in their lives. But we are going to develop you as an individual and help you expand upon that and then help others." Now, I already had my fitness business in place. I'm already a personal development coach. I'm a fitness coach. I keep my stuff right here, man. I mean, I'm a certified nutritionist. I'm an elite trainer with ISSA. I study this stuff. I study kinesiology, all this stuff. Like it is my passion. But that little piece, that personal development, I'm like, I got to check more into this because I'm one that believes that every day we need to try to get, I don't care if it's, 0.01% better, but every day we need to be working to get just a little bit better. And I found coaching athletes and coaching different people, they come to me because they want a physical change. But 99% of my work is done in the brain, getting them
That's
to
right.
understand the concepts and grow that discipline and motivation and all those factors to help them achieve that physical change, right? It starts here, it ends here.
Yes.
And that is
As
what,
within, so without.
yeah, and that is what drew me to Symmetry.
Wow, same. I mean, well, I have to admit, what initially drew me to Symmetry was I was really, all of a sudden, you wake up and you have a family and you're responsible for everything, including showing them what's possible in life, right? And I
Hmm.
was, you know, I have my passion project, which is, now Arowana Mike the Pike. And that, no one pays you to put together a project that work your tail off to get on screen. Nobody pays you for that until it happens, right? Unless you're a studio exec. But independently, you're more putting money out than making money.
Yeah.
So for me, Symmetry initially was, I just got to finally, I'm so tired of, I mean, I've got a whole story there. If we'll get into it, but later, but when I heard that Tony Robbins thing I talked about last time we spoke, I was on the treadmill and it just hit me in the face. And I thought, I want to do more for my family. I want to be more for my family. Now I understand the reason my business is where it's at has very little to do with my business and the industry and the circumstances. We're in a huge strike right now. I can't wait till they resolve it, but I'm not worried about it, right? Because there's
Yeah.
always opportunity. So in the entertainment industry, but at Symmetry, I came here for the money, and then and I was like, wow, I can actually. This feels the lady I helped. My first lady was so happy. This 80-year-old lady taking care of her adult special needs son, just wanted to make sure he was not left behind with any kind of burden when she passed. And I was like, wow, this feels great. And wow, they direct deposited in my account the next day, and I could do this once a week, or I could do this 10 times a week, depending on how. It's really
Yeah.
scalable. So I got
Yeah.
excited, but I was like, this is for until it was going to be, I was maybe going to be here at Symmetry for 6 months, maybe a year, right?
Yeah.
And then I went to my first conference, and they said exactly that. I don't remember if it was Casey or Brandon, Casey Watkins or Brandon Ellison, but it was one of them on stage, and they said, "This, just so you guys know, we're really a personal development company that happens to sell insurance because number
Yeah.
one, it does good for people, and number two, it's very lucrative. So why not, right? But
Yeah.
all the while, this business can't be done sustainably until you become the person that you need to become in order to receive, what's waiting to be given to you, as long as you're willing to do the work, right?"
That is so on point, Mark. Like I said, I'm one that likes to look myself in the mirror and say, "Hey, listen, here's where you're dropping the ball." But in the last 4 months that I've been with Symmetry, I have done that more than I have in probably the last 4 years of my life. Number one. Number two, I've been more constructive about it. right? So yeah,
Love
I'm
that.
looking myself in the mirror and I'm calling myself on the carpet, but Symmetry has given me a bunch of these tools where I can now look myself in the mirror and call myself on the carpet and say, okay, here's where you're falling short. And look, they gave you these great tools. If you can follow these steps, you're going to get better in that area.
That's right. If you do it,
You got to do it.
it's like a little ant farm where you can watch how the entire world works, but in this little ecosystem, right? And so you've seen it even, I'm sure, in the months you've been here. I've seen it in the 7 years. Hundreds of people that come through the gate, they want it, they talk it, they're okay, I'm gonna do it, and then they just don't do it. They don't want to do the work. And the work isn't, I'm not talking about the work that we do, right?
Yeah.
That's a whole nother problem. Like you just got to work to earn in any walk
Anything
of
you do.
life.
Yeah.
But it was the work on yourself that I see so many people. No one's checking if I read the book of the month, right? No one. So we read a book of the month in our hierarchy every single month, right?
Yeah, we do
You can
too.
read it or right.
Yeah.
You can either do it or don't, right? But you can tell who's reading those 10 pages a day and who's not over time. And the sad thing is some people will just never understand. I call those the Karate Kid things in my agency.
Yeah.
So we're older guys, so we know the Karate Kid.
Yes, we do.
Thankfully, it's iconic. So hopefully, even younger people know about the wax on, wax off, right? Um, I'll tell this little thing that I used to like to tell my agency because I think it's so important for people to understand, because I know how many times I brushed personal development to the side. I know
Hmm.
many times it was right in front of my face, and I was like, no, but I need to make money. I don't need that right now, right? And it's like, whoa, that was the helicopter coming to pick you up from the island, right?
That's what's going to
That
make you the money.
Yes. And so many people don't understand that. And I'm like, in Karate Kid, this kid's getting beat up, Daniel's son, and he goes to the maintenance guy who he knows karate, and he says, hey, will you teach me karate? And Mr. Miyagi, the maintenance man, says, sure, come to my house tomorrow. So he comes over and he has him, I don't remember what he did first. I think he was painting the fence, right?
No, it was
He's
the
like,
cars first.
okay,
Wax
it was
on,
the
wax
cars.
on. Yeah, it was wash this way. And then
That's
he did,
right.
and then he goes, I'm done. And he goes, no, now you got to wax them.
That's right. Right.
Yeah.
In this particular way, right? And
Yeah.
then he goes, okay, when are we going to learn karate? He goes, just come back tomorrow. And then tomorrow's
Yeah.
painting the fence. Not like this. You got to do it like this, right?
Yeah.
And now you can tell Daniel's getting kind of annoyed, right? Like, what is this guy doing to me? So he's like, don't worry, come back tomorrow. And in that occasion, Mr. Miyagi's not even there. He went fishing. He put his pine up and says, I'm out. Just
And he has to paint
wax
the
the
house.
sand the floor, the
Or
patio,
yeah,
right?
sand the floor. That's right.
And Daniel, at the end of the night, it's probably a 12-hour day. This kid's sweating. He's sore. He can't even move. And dude gets home from fishing, all happy, whistling. And Daniel's just furious and says, "What? I want to learn karate, and you're making me your slave. Like, what is going on here, right?" And then he goes, "Paint the fence." Boom, boom. He's blocking
Yeah.
punches, right? Wax the floor. He's blocking kicks, and it's like so cool. That sequence means so much to me when related to personal development, because that is what personal development is. It's doing these things that seem non-correlative whatsoever,
Hmm.
and they're hard. But if you do them, you're going to know karate, right? And
Yeah.
that to me is the secret, right? That is the secret.
It is. So I have a few athletes that I actually am training for like bodybuilding competitions, right? They're actual bodybuilders getting ready to get on stage. And you know, there's times in a process of prep where, they're a little food deprived and they're like, "Well, shouldn't we be doing this?" And I'm like, "Trust the process." Right? Just trust the process. And I have this kid, he's always lifted a certain way. And just quickly explain it. A lot of people think there's two types of muscle fibers, but there's actually three. There's type 1, type 2, and then type 2X. And a lot of people forget, they just say there's type 1 fibers, type 2 fibers. Well, and they all fire at a different Right. And that's why lifting in a certain way for like a bodybuilder creates volume. That's why you can have a strong man that looks one way. His muscle development's totally different. And you can have a bodybuilder that has these like 3D muscles that are popping off their chest and their shoulders. They just look huge. It's because the bodybuilder is taxing all three muscle fiber groups. So all three are growing. So
Wow.
it creates this like 3D look where muscles are just, popping
You
off
get
your
the
chest because
dent,
it's
the
just swell.
line, the pop.
Correct. Everything. So, and I have this kid that I'm working with, and I just turned, he's just wanting to start thinking about getting on stage. So we spent the last 12 weeks just packing volume on. And then we'll move into like a strength hybrid phase, and then we'll go back into packing volume. And then he's going to pick a show because we're going to pick the show and then diet down for the show. In 12 weeks, this kid looked in the mirror and he calls me up and he goes, Coach, I am freaking thick, man. It's like I am thick. Matter of fact, in a couple weeks, he'll actually be on the podcast. We're gonna go
Oh,
over his
wow.
training process, and he's like, "I'm thick, man. Like it is popping up." And I'm like, "I told you, trust the process." It
That's
seems
amazing.
crazy. Some of my training techniques are a little bit unorthodox because I study from some of the greats, like Hani Rambod. I mean, this guy, he's got
Wow.
like 22 Mr. Olympias under his belt as a coach. Right. I
Wow.
mean, and it's all about, he uses a technique, it's called FST7 training, and it stands for fascia stretch training. It's literally designed to put so much blood in the muscle that the fascia stretches and allows the muscle to grow bigger.
Wow.
And so this kid, man, like his shoulders, he's just like popping. Like we put 2, 3 inches on his chest. He's building this big old shelf, right? And I'm just like, trust the process. And getting back to what you're talking about with symmetry, it is that, man. You have to trust the process. And they tell you that right from the beginning. I love it. They're like, listen,
Right.
man, check your ego at the door. Listen to what we're telling you, and not because we're the best ever to be on this planet, but because we have all this information from all these people that have laid the path and done it. We don't have to
That's
reinvent the
right.
wheel here. It just
That's
follow
right.
the process. And as I get more familiar with it and incorporate more of it, like I'm not a great producer. I've never been a great producer, right? I'm a great coach. I'm a hard worker and I will figure things out and I will get the job done, right? But
That's awesome.
as I've put these things in place, right? Like, so I'm a numbers guy, right? So I track everything. I'm tracking, okay, how many dials I make today, how many people I talk to, how many appointments did I set? So at first, I'm making these dials, talking to these people. I'm not setting any appointments. What the heck's going on? So I reach out to Chaz. I'm like, what the hell? I'm doing what they tell me to do. And he's like, okay, well, are you using the appointment script? What are you talking about, appointment script? Right? So, oh yeah, okay. So then I start looking at, oh, okay. So I'm not tying these people down. I'm not getting. So then I really dive in and I just like follow the best script. Now I'm talking to these people. I'm setting appointments, but they're not showing up. Right? And now,
Indeed.
and then the next progression is as I'm learning more. Okay, I'm dialing. I'm setting lots of appointments. Now they're showing up. And I'm still having trouble closing business. Okay, why is that? So then we dive into that a little deeper, right? And so, like last week, it wasn't great, but I had the last 8 days, I probably had the most closes in 8 days that I've had. It was probably, if you, I'm trying to think in my head real quick, about, I don't know, 3,300 in the last eight
Great.
days, right? So not great, but I mean, good for me, great for me
Yeah.
compared to what I have been doing, but so far below what the potential is. But it keeps getting better. I keep following the system, putting those tools in place. I'm I'm trusting the process, and it's getting better.
I love that. I love that. It's amazing. It's what it's all about. Like you said, trusting the process is so important because the growth is so incremental.
Hmm.
And you just went through the stages. When you get to that point where you've done, it is a lot of work in the beginning. If especially if you're not used to the personal development, right? So
Yeah.
when you get to that point where you set appointments and then they don't show, or they show and you write them and then it gets declined, like there are all these stages of growth that you really need to go through as an insurance producer because there's too much to learn if you try to study it ahead of time. Like, oh, I'm going to learn it all before I go in the field. Well, see ya. You will never ever be in the
Yeah.
field,
You got
right?
to do it. You got to do it.
Yeah. And I love that they embrace that from the beginning. They just say you're going to make mistakes, right? You're I tell my people, you might feel like a hot mess for 3 or 4 months. I
Yeah,
kind of feel if you don't,
I did. I did.
yeah, you're not doing enough.
I'm just
So
now starting to feel comfortable, Mark. Like I'm just now at the point where you know what my greatest success at Symmetry is? Now is 90% of the people I set appointments with, when they cancel, they call me first.
that's awesome. Hey,
Right?
that's the
I,
progress, right? Yeah,
I don't maybe get the appointment. I don't get to sit with them, but I have stressed the importance of my time and my ability to work with other families to the point where they will text me or call me and say, James, I'm sorry, I can't. Can we try and reschedule? And I'll be like, hey, I'll get to you as soon as I can. I go right back to the script, right? Ensuring
that's
urgency and things.
awesome.
I will get to you as soon as I can. We'll try to reschedule this appointment. But the fact that they're reaching out to me to cancel when they do cancel, and the ones that don't reach out, usually I'm getting them on the phone. I'm not necessarily closing business all the time, but I'm getting them on the phone and we're having a conversation.
You're getting closure, resolve. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I've because of what we're doing with Arowana and Mike the Pike. I've in I just I guess pretty cavalier, but invested, more than I was comfortable with in just making sure we can get those companies to the next stage, right?
Yeah.
With full belief. That's why I have no regret, but it definitely had me in a really tight spot the last couple months personally because I'm feeding a lot of that, with personal funds. And so it had me, I've been out of the field for the most part for the last 2 years or so, right? And so, thanks to Betsy and Javon, that Level Up Essentials program, we've got Coach Finney in there every day. So Justin Finney's a coach for, I know some of the Symmetry stuff, so Symmetry centric, right? It's not like all your listeners know what Symmetry is, but in
No,
our
but it,
company,
it applies.
good, because we
It
have what I
100%
love,
applies.
I love it because they put such a focus on personal development and they're not just talking the talk. They've equipped their staff with people we can go to and hire as personal coaches, right? Or show up at smaller group coaching sessions. And what Betsy and Javon have done with Level Up leads in their Level Up Essentials program is they put the fire to your feet by saying, hey, for X amount of money, and we'll finance it 0% APR, so a new agent can come right in and not worry about this weekly lead budget. You're going to get 20 leads a week. You're going to get personal coaching from Justin Finney on the daily, and you get the Kixie dialer so that when I dial you, James, it's going to show I'm dialing into your area code, not from,
Yeah.
Arizona, right, or my Indiana cell phone. So it's really gotten me redisciplined on the field side of things very quickly. And it's just another reason I love this opportunity is I get to go play in the sandbox and in my larger life goal, right? And achieve things at a much faster rate because you can always, you almost want to tell every person, go get your insurance license when you're 18. You don't have to be an
Yeah.
insurance salesperson, right? But if you're ever down on your luck, right? If you're ever find yourself in a tough situation, right? You can just go help people, right? You can dive right in and within a week start to find sustainable growth in your income. And that's what I find so amazing about our industry is it's so accessible, right? You
No,
just got to pass that test.
that's awesome. And that's the one reason like my son, he just turned 21. My baby boy, he's the youngest of the Gilbert brood. And I had him when I came over here, I recognized the personal development. And he loves like automotive stuff, racing. He likes working on cars, doing that kind of stuff. He's very hands-on. He takes after my wife's dad, his grandpa. He was a mechanic for 50 years and like he loves to get greasy, right? Like that's his thing.
That's awesome.
But I told him, I'm like, listen, bro, get your insurance license, come to this Symmetry with me. I will help you. Even if you do it a couple hours a week, we spend it Friday night. I say, even if you don't buy leads right now, and I just give you my old ones, that I've been through
Right.
4 or 5 times, and you call and practice. The personal development side is going to make you a better human being as a whole, even in your current
Absolutely.
job. So he's a commercial sales professional for advanced automotive, right? So he deals with the dealerships and the mechanic shops and sells them their parts. And I was like, this will make you better. And maybe you don't, maybe it's not something you grasp or really want to do right now, but the steps, the process will make you better at anything you do.
That's right.
And he
I
did it.
love that, James.
He did
He
it.
did
So yeah, he got
even
it.
better.
He was my first. He's my first guy I brought in here. So I actually just
That's
brought on
awesome.
a wonderful young lady, Kimberly. She lives about 30 minutes from me. Already licensed, coming from another IMO. She's ready to. She'll be on the huddle Monday morning. She's ready to get going, and she really like. I'm looking for builders. I'm not necessarily looking for producers. Um, I want people to build with, to help me build
Right.
and coach. Yeah, we all need to produce, but I want people that are going to be with me on this, and we're going to go lock, stock, and we're going to build something special.
Yeah.
And
It's
I
so
have
fun.
another girl that's going into licensing next week. I mean, I was told early on by Rob and Chaz. They both said, "Listen, a lot of people wait till they become a very efficient producer before they start building, and it's a mistake."
You'll hear that more, way many times than not. In fact, any of the top people that you talk to about building an agency, that the number one thing you hear from anybody, like even someone way up there like Ashley Harris, who you figured have it all figured out from day one. No, they all say I waited a year. I waited, and I wish I wouldn't have, because
Yeah.
what a lot of people see, the thing about, there's always a gate that we've got to get through, for lack of a better description, before we can have that higher level goods that we desire, right?
Hmm.
And there's illusions of all kinds in front of us. And one of the things that I know pains a lot of builders at Symmetry is we work very much like the real estate industry, right? You got a real estate office, you can hire sub agents, they make their commission. You
Correct.
you run the office, so you get an override on their commission, right? Essentially. And everybody thinks, and I'm not saying it's not, but everybody just, praises real estate. Everybody and their mother has their realtor's license, right? And they're now working virtually. They're showing up to open houses with no shows. They're driving around. They're still doing all that stuff, right? And everybody paints that industry as it's just so sexy to be, right. I'm a realtor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And an insurance agent is like, they get out the garlic and the crucifix. And the minute you talk about building, the term MLM comes up, right? I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
how many times
multi-level
I'm asked.
marketing, da da da.
They, they
Yeah,
mix it together like it's the same thing, and I'm like, I am not selling you a bottle of dishwasher soap that you have to buy in order to sell, right?
correct.
I don't. If you don't work, that's on you, and it pains me not. I just know I can't give my attention there, and unless I know you're looking for some coaching or some mentorship, right?
Hmm.
So the power of building is that when you teach, you learn better. Teachers learn better. Teachers learn faster.
100%. 100%.
And
Do you know why, Mark? I think you do, but what's the reason behind that? Why do teachers learn more than the student?
well, I'm sure you have a better, more concise way of saying it, but that you get twice as many mistakes to recover from in the
That
same amount of time.
that and material. So I study this much. Sorry, I'm Italian, I think. I'm actually Greek and English, but my hands say Italian. I study this much to teach this much.
Right.
Right? I absorb as
Absolutely.
much as I possibly can and then narrow it down to the individual that I'm teaching. So you do get so much out of it, out of coaching. It's why
Oh,
I love coaching. I love coaching people. Love it.
yeah. I mean, I've never been personally coached by you, but I mean, it shows. I can feel it. You are a very highly effective coach, and people. I think it's thankfully that industry is really opening up right now to people in terms of people being open minded and understanding that your brain is a supercomputer. It's the most powerful tool that you have available to you, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
matrix level technology if you know how to use it. And since the, 80s, people were looking at personal training for lifting, right? For bodybuilding and for diet. And that became normalized very quickly. Like, well, if you really want to grow, personal trainer is the way to go. And not too many people still, but we are in a new age of enlightenment. I mean, I think everybody's feeling that. I think we're starting to recognize things that that used to seem esoteric are actually the fabric of our being and our capabilities, right? I know I'm being very ambiguous right now, but the Dr. Joe Dispenza type stuff, right? Where you can actually use your brain to create, to create your outcome. There are people
100%.
literally healing themselves from cancer with just the power of their brain. And I love that the coaching industry is now getting to a point where people understand that is just as necessary to have somebody, coaching you as it is if you want to get ready for a bodybuilding competition. You're not going to do that by yourself, right? And unless you've done it a couple times before.
Even then, Mark, and this is why coaching is so important, I think, for all of us, is that anything we do, we're emotionally invested in it, right? I learned this early on in the finance industry. I had a great mentor. He was a gentleman by the name of Rich Barber. He actually grew up in Norwich, England, overseas. He lives here now. He brought me into the finance world. Matter of fact, we were together at he brought me into Merrill Lynch. That's where I got licensed, and then we opened up our own a wealth management firm, Sutter Wealth Management, and we did that. He ended up wanting to go more of the fiduciary route. That's when I went to J.P. Morgan. We did well. We just little different. I wanted to do something a little different than he did, but the lessons that I learned from him are they're priceless. I can the education that I got from him is priceless. That coaching, right? And we all need it in some aspect of our life. And I still, to this day, if I'm going to make a financial decision, I call him first because I'm emotionally invested, right?
Right.
When you're dealing with bodybuilders, they need somebody to peak them because, frankly, their brain is not functioning where it should function because they're literally starving. I mean, to get
Right.
down to 3% body fat or less in some cases, some of these guys that get on stage are less than 1% of body fat. Like they're on death's door. Their kidneys are ready to shut down. They're there for a day. That's it.
Wow.
Everybody thinks, oh, they walk around looking like that. No, it is a process to get you to one day. You got one window of opportunity. That one day for prejudging and the night show. That one small window when you want to peak your body to the best you can possibly be. And then boom, you're right back to getting some more food in you. So
Yeah.
it's tough. They need someone to do it. And it's the same here or in any aspect of life. You need professionals to help you. And it doesn't mean they have a degree. I'm not saying like, hey, you got to go get a doctor or you got to go get this. That's not what I'm saying. You need somebody who has walked that path. Who I look at professionals not basically what's on a piece of paper, but what is their life experience? What kind of study have they done? How are they like anybody? I got these things on the wall, man. Anybody can get those. You go take a test, you can get it. Now, are you going to study it? Are you going to
Right.
dive into the kinesiology of things? Are you going to really learn what's going on so that you can then take that knowledge and benefit others and help
That's
them
right.
get there? Or are you just going to say, hey, I'm a licensed coach, man. Fucking, excuse me, pay me $100, right?
Right.
No, come on. That's not the way this life works. You can't. And it's not here either.
Yeah, you're right. I just I can't appreciate enough, and it's bled into the what really was inspiring and just has me now. I think earlier on I said I only plan to be at Symmetry for 6 months to a year 7 years ago, and now I realize it's a permanent component of my life now, because it is that personal development component. It's the community component. It's you just get so much out of it. And what I love about it is it, and I tell people this all the time, like you don't have to come to a place like Symmetry and have your end game be, I'm going to be the best insurance producer in the world, right? It can
Yeah.
be, and that'd be amazingly lucrative, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people come here because a lot of people come to sell insurance, right? Or even real estate because they have bigger dreams that didn't quite work out yet, right? I mean,
Yeah.
truthfully, it's not
Absolutely.
a path they prepare you for in school. When you go to college, they don't say, "Oh, and if you want to become an insurance agent, here's how." No, right? It's kind of that last rung on the ladder, like, well, I'll try this, right? For some. Now, for those that have read The Perfect Storm or understand what this industry is all about and understand what just that it is the industry that creates more multimillionaires than any industry in the world, and it happens to do good service for people, right? As you do it, I mean, that's just mind blowing. So if you understand that, yeah, that's when you get what I love too is you. It's not just people like me that were kind of struggling and found a solution. It's for people that were struggling in it. Mine was a financial. There are people that struggle with, hey, I'm making mid six figures, but I'm also, one divorce down on the way to my second because I never see my family or we're just disconnected because to make that kind of money requires this much time, right? And the
Hmm.
power of I'll get to my point in a second, but the power, relating to our discussion here of building just exponentially creates an opportunity here because now you're able to make that kind of income for your family while helping other families, but at the same time duplicating yourself slowly but surely to the point where yes, the aim here is for many that wish to work your way out of the field, right? Sure, Edward Pritchett still helps people roll their money into an annuities or helps people if they come to him for help, right? And he'll
Yeah.
get on the front lines if he's like, okay, it's time to get down and dirty. I'm going to show my agency what it's all about. I've seen him do that too, right? I mentioned Edward Pritchett because he got the 52 or 56 million dollar pin at conference
Yeah.
last month, and I just have such enormous amount of respect for him and his journey and everything he's accomplished. And even my own mentor, Chris and Lauren Cook, seeing what they went through from, him getting his first set of leads in the rain, at his practice company to becoming one of the top people and now on the advisory board at Symmetry Financial Group. Like the opportunities are endless. And it only gives you would think as you climb the rungs, right, that it would require more and more and more of you. But no, it actually requires, I wouldn't say less and less, but differently of you. And differently in a way that you, like that Michael Keaton movie, Multiplicity, only
Yeah.
without the negative side effects, you're able
Yeah.
to duplicate yourself and get it. You're the first Michael Keaton times four, right?
Yeah.
So you don't get the fourth guy trying to eat,
That was a
staplers.
good movie.
But I love that movie. I love
Yeah.
Harold Ramis. But what I started out making my point was that this business, because of the personal development access, right? And and what's it? Just our dogma here, right? Has helped me in my other business, right? It's
Yeah.
what's taken Arowana and Mike the Pipe to, okay, we're gonna find our way in this industry because I'm passionate about it. To, I know what I'm doing. We're doing this right. We're gonna do, position this company the very best possible for the shareholders. We're gonna position this, without sacrificing our creative agenda, and really make some amazing things happen. And it's Symmetry that we went from, Beyond White Space was an amazing experience. That was the first feature film that made it into a theater that I produced, right?
Yeah.
Sci-fi horror movie. It's,
Right up
I'm
my
super,
alley.
super, I'm, I'm super proud of it, right? It's
Yeah.
not, it's not Alien, but it was such an accomplishment because we, shot that for, I don't even know if, I shouldn't say what we shot for, but we shot that very, very, very low budget in a warehouse in the valley, 80 hours a week in the hot sun. And it looks like a 30-40 million dollar film
Yeah.
because, and that's a lot, much thanks to the director, Ken Laxmandi. Part of the agreement was, hey, Ken's going to direct the film for deep discounts on the special effects because his company had done effects for The Matrix, for
Yeah.
um, Shutter Island, for Fight Club, for Harry Potter, like just amazing, amazing effect house. And we got all that at cost because he was the director of the film, you know? And that's when I really started to get excited about the what's possible in the ingenuity behind, you know, producing and what
Yeah.
you can accomplish when your heart's set on it. But it was the professional development at Symmetry that had me all of a sudden running into bigger, better people, bigger, better opportunities, right? It's like everything just started turning on. And now we're
Yeah.
dealing with some of the biggest people in the industry, with some of the most iconic properties available to produce. And and that is why, you know, going back to our original point, why I went from acting to writing to producing was, I mean, a couple different reasons, but what I love about producing is you're the guy that gets in the office the earliest and the one who leaves the latest as far as the life cycle of that project. Like
Yeah.
you know, Wish is a New York Times bestseller. I love this book. It's a beautiful book. It's a middle grade paperback. Came out in 2016. If you go into Target, Barnes and Noble, you're going to see this book. I mean, it's everywhere, and just about every kid knows it by its cover. It was the last book that I got to read to my kids before they got too old to be like, Dad, you're not coming in our room and reading a book to us anymore, right?
Yeah.
I'd be happy to do that still, but
I hate them when they
I think,
grow up, man.
yeah, exactly. But this was that time. They were both in the, you know, sitting in the same bed, and I'm there sitting down and doing all the voices and everything else. And that book, you know, and I saw how much they liked it, right? And I think it was so meaningful because A, they liked it, and B, we all really saw this book as I was reading it. Like it just jumped off the page.
Yeah.
And so I went after the right.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to my little one yesterday about it, not little anymore, but and just taking myself outside of the equation for a minute, just how amazing it is to be blessed with the opportunity to be so moved by an experience and then to go and say, well, I'm going to go get the rights to that. And then we're going to make a movie out of it, you
That
know?
is so awesome. I
And
love it.
it would have never happened without the personal development that it took to become the type of person. I mean, I tell new agents, I guess I don't tell them as much as I used to, and I should. I noticed after we started reading, right? Reading. I remember the Tony Robbins interview that smacked me in the face. He said, the guy was like, well, what's the most important book out there? And he's like, I can't answer that. That's like asking someone their favorite movie, right? You kind of can't
Yeah.
do it. But the answer, and he said, let's go on with the interview. Because there's the Bible, there's this, there's that. And then he made the guy back up later in the interview, like 10 minutes back. He goes, wait, you know the question about the book? He goes, there is one book. He said, I believe it would be As a Man Thinketh by James P. Allen.
Yeah.
Written in 1914. It's Old English. Of course, it's sexist. It's 1914. It should be As a Person Thinketh.
I went over that after you dropped it at the huddle. Because you
Oh,
told Barry
good.
to read that book, right?
I'll tell. Yes,
Barry Davis, right?
Barry
Yeah.
credits me. I love Barry because
Yeah.
I didn't even know how much that impacted him until that last huddle that you that they invited me to.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't even know how much it impacted him. And it means the world to me because that's what it did for me. I'll never forget where I was. I was laying in bed. I read it. It's an easy read, but damn, did it just strike me hard. And you start it. If you really take that book, it takes 40 minutes to read or something. If you take that book to heart, there is nothing in your way but you. Nothing.
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 Yeah.
There's no person, there's no weather, there's no disease, there's nothing in your way but you. And you will, in fact, and I'm sure the Bible says it best, right? When they say you reap what you will sow. But that's exact. And as above, so below. We have all these things that are so cliche that people don't hear them anymore. And that's what that. And in a way, I love cliches because somebody came up. I always like think it's fascinating when someone comes up with a cliche. It wasn't a cliche. It was brilliant the first time somebody said it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So then Bob's using it, and then Barbara hears it. She's using it, and then all of a sudden it just goes in one ear and out the other. But we've got to take these cliches and we've got to really reinvestigate them or reinvent them, whatever it takes, because the secrets to life have been in front of us from day one, for the most part. And that book to me says it all. And I see why Tony Robbins says, As a Man Thinketh would be the most important book anybody could read.
And you
Because,
touched on something, Mark, real fast. You touched on something very, very important. Because I got something similar out of that, and it's something that I've thought about many times in my life, and that is the only person in my way is me. When I look back on my life and I look at my failures, they're there because of me. It's not someone else. I could try to maybe shift the blame a little bit that direction, but it really isn't their fault. It's not
sure,
that somebody did something to me, it's because of me. It's because of choices I made or places I put myself in or the lack of effort that I gave to that specific project, right? It's
right.
choices that I've made that have led to those failures.
Yeah, you can't blame the bramble bush for falling into it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's a project that's near and dear to my heart that will always have a little. I mean, I'll get over it. I guess I have for the most part, but it's something I will never give up on. But we had the rights to a George R. R. Martin project, who of course is the creator of the Game of Thrones book series and so many other amazing things. He's just such an amazing person and writer. And I found a werewolf short story that he wrote early on, before there was any Game of Thrones. Um, and I wrote to him personally because he was so accessible before Game of Thrones. And
Yeah.
he said, "Oh, that sounds neat. Talk to my manager." I finally, over 2 years, figured out how to get the rights to a book. I mean, even that was failing forward journey type thing. And when I look back at my original request, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, but my intuition was there, it was sparking. And we ended up getting in bed with some guys that just were not fun to work with. Enough said. But I for the project, we even had a deal with HBO that couldn't get over the finish line because of the way, at least I feel, because of the way that these guys did business and partnerships. Right?
Yeah.
Me and my partner felt very strongly about it. But once we were in there by agreement, you're stuck, right? It's a marriage. And
Yeah.
we were married to partners that we were not happy with because we did not feel they acted with integrity. And here's a project that I fell in love with, hardcore love with. The story, the characters, the potential of this project, and then you're over at an HBO, and it came down to us, finally being a part of having that project returned to George, because we didn't want to see it, anything taint that property. It's just
Yeah.
such an amazing property. And I would blame those guys in my subconscious, in my conscious, to my I didn't I was near in. I was with Symmetry, and I was personally growing. So I understood, but what pained me is when I made the deal in the beginning with them, the very beginning, I had no Symmetry. I had no advanced personal development. I hadn't done that. And by then you're in the bush, you're in the bramble bush, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can't blame the bush. I'm the one that said, okay, okay, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And I can always try to justify it by saying, well, it was for the sake of the project, or we had to. But no, you didn't. You have to go back a little further. So whenever you want to blame somebody or something, you haven't gone back far enough in the timeline. That's all, right? To
Correct.
your point,
Yeah. No, I
you
agree
just
a
have to
hundred percent.
investigate further back.
Yeah, because we all play a part in our own story. The problem I think with individuals is a couple things. Number one, we will rationalize our behavior to a fault because of our ego, right? Because we do not want to be wrong. And the human
Right,
condition wants to, oh, I did this because there was a good reason. No, probably not. There probably wasn't a good
right,
reason for it, right? We make mistakes. We are human. We do things. We make decisions that even with the best of intentions, if we
right. Because you're only
there's
grown.
yeah, you've only grown so far, right? It's one of the things I love about Symmetry too is Symmetry has created an environment where you can achieve success on the backs of others that have gone there before, right? But here's what I like
Right,
more than that. You could do that in a lot of places, But most places, the backs you're climbing on are fighting you the entire way. Where at Symmetry, they are helping you get on their back to get to the next level.
Yes, they're like playing leapfrog with you.
Correct.
Yes,
That is one of the things I love about just in my short time here, the people that I've got to interact with and talk, the lessons, the many videos on quality and stuff through Summit and different trainings that are available. And the best part, people, just so you know, we'll keep this kind of secret. It's free. The
yes,
training is free, man. I mean, they don't charge for it, and they could, but it's free. You know, everything here, other than getting your license, paying for your leads because you're your own individual business person,
business.
it's free. It's all that training, all of the time that goes into building individuals. They don't charge for it, and they could 100% charge for it, and they don't.
Thousands.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It's incredible what we have of availability to. And you're right. And what I appreciate the most is that, to me, good and evil is scarcity mindset, abundance mindset, at least in this capacity. I won't go like so deep, but and unfortunately, I believe most people on our planet have a scarcity mindset, right? We're born with that. Well, no, we're not even, but we for the most part, your programming is a clean slate. And that's why kids are able to dream the way they are, because they do have an abundance mindset, right?
yeah.
That's why saying I'm going to be president or astronaut is just what you're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And those damn adults, right, are the
Yes.
ones that step in. The ones that didn't do their job
Yeah.
are the ones that say, well, good luck with that.
Be
And that's,
practical.
I'm not violent, but that just makes me want to smack somebody. You know what I mean?
No,
Punch him
you're
in the face.
right.
What did you just do to that kid?
Yeah.
Help him be president then. Show him. Start having him go to the local government buildings. Have him do this, have him do that. Like, it's so simple. And that's what they say of Symmetry. It's not easy at all, but it
No.
is simple. It is simple. The process to anything that you want to achieve simple. Okay, but it's not easy. So I'll lay out the steps, but you have to go to the store and go buy the cocoa and the eggs and
Yeah.
the milk
It's
and the
Mark, it's not easy because you're accountable for yourself. You're the one that has
right.
to look yourself in the eye, call yourself on the carpet, and say, hey, listen, there's a path that has been laid out for you, and you are not following it for whatever reason.
That's right.
You're not doing it. And you're right. I mean, we do that with kids, right? We be practical. Oh, no, do you know what it takes to do that? No, not don't say, do you know what it takes to do that? Say, oh, that's what you want to do. You need to start working down this path if you want to do it. How can I help you?
Yes.
What do you need from me to get you moving down that path? Maybe it changes down the road, but get them moving down the path. My
And find
son,
anything. Yeah, well,
go ahead.
please.
No, I was going
No.
to say, my son, one of the, it was one of the most touching moments I've had in my entire life with my son. He was playing high school football, and I could tell something wasn't right. Like I knew that, like he was doing it, and he knew I love football. I coached him. I've coached high school football, all this stuff, right? He knew that his dad loves football, loves college football, right? And he's playing football, and I'm like, he don't love it. I talked to my wife. I'm like, he does not love what he's doing, and it was breaking my heart that he's doing this, and
Wow.
I had a feeling he's doing it for me. And so I pulled him aside one day. We sat down in the living room. I said, son, what's going on with football? It's like, well, it's like, listen, I know what's going on. I'm gonna tell you right now. Do not play football for me. I am passionate about football. Yeah, I got you into football because I was passionate about it. I thought maybe you'd like it too. And I think you did enjoy it, but now you're not enjoying it. This is not something that you are into. Do not do this for me. And he said, but I don't want to disappoint you. And I said,
Wow.
son, no decision that you take on with passion will disappoint me. He's like, well, Dad, I really want to go into the junior ROTC program. I'm very passionate about that. And I would like to serve our country someday. And I was like, in the living room, crying with my son. We're having I'm like, you do that. What do you need from me? How can I help you do that? right? And
Wow.
unfortunately, we found out later on he has a tumor on his pituitary gland. It's not like it doesn't mess with them. It affects a few hormones, but it's not like life threatening or anything like that. But it kicked him out of being able to serve,
Oh,
which
wow.
was kind of tough. But just the fact that I was able to teach my son that, listen, do not do this for me. Let's do things, do what you're passionate about. That was a great
I love
day.
that.
It was a great day. It was
That's amazing.
sad. I was heartbroken only that he was doing something that he wasn't into because he thought that's what
Oh,
I wanted
yeah.
him to do. So it broke my
Waterworks.
heart because I felt guilty that it was my fault.
Yes.
Right. And that I made him go down this path because maybe and when I look back on it, yeah, like I thought that's what he liked, but maybe I didn't listen. Maybe I didn't listen to the cues. It probably there was a portion of my fault in there because I didn't listen to the cues. I didn't listen to the things he was putting down. And maybe I could have recognized that sooner and helped him follow his passion sooner. But I tell you this much, he graduated as the highest ranking officer in junior ROTC at his high school. So, I
Wow.
mean, he went and
Fantastic.
achieved it, man. He loved it
Enough
because he was
said.
into it, right?
Wow. Yeah. That's
So,
inspiring, man. That's what it's all about, James, right? Finding your passion, finding your way, and with the kids, and just doing everything we can to help them. I mean, that's who I think really needs coaching, our parents across the country, because and I say that with love, but we all do because of the and again, I think we are entering, or in at least in the dawn of a new age of enlightenment, to where people are really recognizing the power of words and the power of subconscious, and the power of our brain's ability to impact and manipulate the subconscious if we know how to do it, right? And we know
yeah.
we are learning that we are programmed. That's when it gets really freaky, because yes, this could be the Matrix. We could all be robots. We will
Yeah, no
never know.
doubt, right?
I mean, we might be
Yeah.
robots. I think about all the time. Flesh and all that could just be advanced technology. Like, you just never know. But the fact is, whatever we are, and we're even if we were robots, we're divine, of divine being, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that, we've seen time and time again, and being these divine beings, but with a very, what we're just finding out about, being predictable, programmable beings, right? We can use that for good. And we can program ourselves to achieve things that have never, I mean, Roger Bannister across the board in every category, right? And that's what I find fascinating, and that's what I hope to see come about in the coaching industry, is parental coaching. Because parental coaching, to me, now it may put everybody out of business, because if you coach the parent, right, it's kind of like big farm. If you teach everybody how to heal themselves naturally, there's going to be no more big farms. So they can't wait to give you, meds with side effects that you need more meds for. But
Yeah.
personal opinion, disclaimer.
No, I'm with you
But
100%. So is my partner. My business partner, if she was here, she'd be jumping right on that bandwagon. She does
oh,
not
and,
like
and I
big
just
pharma,
saw
man.
the Painkiller with Matthew Broderick on Netflix. I mean, just the opioid
Yeah.
crisis, and I like it. So maybe I'm extra fired up about that. But really, really well done. But my point is, it might put the coaching business out of business, because once you teach the correct way, right? Hopefully, we're not going to have what we have now. Are people like us in their 40s and 50s being like, "Oh shit, I have to change them. I have to change.
Yeah.
Oh, this is all my fault. Oh, this
Yeah.
is all
Yeah.
my doing." Right? And then you have to really go do, if you so choose to accept this mission, right? You must then do that bone breaking work that, they say that, circumcision, right? When they do to babies,
Yeah.
that fun little process.
Little
The
exercise.
reason, yeah, exactly, that fun little project. That apparently the pain is so excruciating that's why you do it when they're infants, because they don't process pain in the same way, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's the same thing as growth. If we can do all this stuff right when they're kids, the
Yes.
pain of growth is nothing compared to, this werewolf type transformation that we need to go through
Yeah.
in your 30s, your 40s, and your 50s and beyond. It's never too late to start the process. And, what does Freddie Mercury say? 1 year of love is better than a lifetime alone.
My
So
favorite
who
band
cares?
of all time right there, Queen.
Oh, how amazing.
My favorite band of all time.
Did you enjoy the biopic?
Loved it.
Me too. I saw it like
Yeah.
3 times. One of the
Yeah,
best
loved it.
biopics I've ever seen.
Yes,
Uh,
loved it. Yeah, he is my
wow,
favorite of all time.
that's
Yep.
awesome. I witnessed
So,
Freddie Mercury to one of our costume parties at Symmetry.
yeah,
I
you
do, I
can
do
do
too.
it too. You can do it.
I
You
pulled it
got
off.
that skinnier frame, man. I'd be in there. They'd be like, Freddie, what happened to you, man? You kind of wide, brother.
No,
But
it's
you, Mark, you are so right about that. I'm going to tell you something. I do something as a coach that's very counterintuitive. So I don't actually do meal plans for my clients. I will for bodybuilding clients when we're in the last 8 weeks prepping for a show. I will tell them what to eat and what not to eat. But other than that, I don't. My regular fitness clients that just come to me because they want to lose weight or get in better shape. We have I do nutrition courses with them. I teach them nutrition. I teach them how to program workouts for themselves based on what we discuss in their goals. And I do that so that they can fire me. My goal with my fitness clients is to give them the knowledge that they need to do it for themselves.
I
Now, it's
love that.
counterintuitive for me, but it's great for them, right?
You know what
And
though? You have a mindset of abundance, and that is why.
yeah,
I mean, I've never liked this quote, but it speaks to what you're saying. And I wish, and we need to come up with a positive version of it. But they credit P.T. Barnum for saying a sucker is born every minute, right?
yeah,
Get rid of that word sucker, because I mean, I can't stand it. Like, I can't stand when people are manipulated, unbeknownst to them, right? But a willing mind is born every minute, right? Every minute.
yeah,
You could have them all fire you today, and you'll be in you have just as much access to business tomorrow. Fire away, right? Get rid of
yeah.
me. I'll go find another person who needs help. And there's a baby being born right now, so that 10 years from now, I'm going to
That's
be
right.
helping that.
That's right.
Always. Just a never ending funnel of. That's what I can't believe about the insurance stuff we do. I keep thinking, like, what if we run out of people to help?
No,
We'll never
no.
run out of people to help.
And it's so important. Like, if you've ever been through an experience where you've had a family member pass that didn't have some type of insurance in place, and you have had to
Mm.
deal with that disaster, and I have, it's a mess. It is an
So we
absolute mess, and it puts people in dire straits at times.
they change immediately. That's the worst. I can't tell you how there's such a. It's not a fine line. It's a skill set that I'm getting better and better at. But I can't get to a certain point where I feel like I'm selling a 70-year-old or an 80-year-old on a $200 a month plan, right? When it's like, but I'm not. I don't. It's like the agent that comes in and doesn't do the work. I can't care more than you do, but it's so hard not to. It's
Yeah,
so hard not to, because I know what's possible. I know what's going to happen if you don't have this in place. You know, your GoFundMe may raise what you need for the
maybe.
cremation,
Yeah,
maybe,
maybe. Yeah.
but now with
Uh,
53 Facebook friends, so
yeah,
I'm with you.
it's
And now getting back into the field and high activity again. Activity solves everything, because I know, if you're new to the field, you can feel like you're a salesperson, right?
yeah,
And even if you're not, like, because I'll tell you, my dilemma with that in the beginning was I'm an empath, and it's why I'll cry at every movie, no matter what
yeah,
it is, right? It does not matter. I will tear up. If it's a half decent movie, there's going to be a scene that gets me, just like you. And I'm also very I use a lot of skincare products, so I cry extra, because then the oil gets in my eye because I'm crying, and now
yeah,
I'm just a disaster. I can't walk
yeah,
out of the movie without looking like I just pulled an all-night bender. You
yeah.
know,
There you go.
Forget a Pixar movie looks like, I just lost an entire colony. But The but where am I, James? What was I saying? I just lost myself on the Pixar.
Oh, you were talking about um well, you were talking about being an empath, but the that you
Oh,
could
thank you.
sell
Sales.
70, yeah.
So being an empath, thank you so much. Being an empath, I really do. And that is why I enjoyed acting. Was I was very adept at improv, and it's still one of my favorite things to do. Improvisational acting with other people because that's all about feeding off each other's energy. And now I'm doing jujitsu with my sons. My oldest son just loves it. I think he's found a real path there. But just like jujitsu, acting is about you can't come in there and just be like, I know this move, I know that move, I'm going to do it, because you don't know what they're going to feed you. You know what they're going to
Correct.
feed you each and every step of the way. They're going to feed you something different. So you can't, in improv, you can't hold on to a joke for more than 1 second. You may be in a conversation on stage and have somebody, and then you think of this joke. I remember my teacher warned us about this all the time. He's like, never hang on to a joke in your mind. If you're able to get it in the flow, you got it. But if you're saving a joke for a certain moment, that moment will most have certainly passed because it's a Back to the Future timeline. It's the
Yeah.
butterfly effect. With each tiny thing, it's going to change the whole thing. Your joke's no longer relevant. So get your ego out of the room and get into the sandbox and play your part, right? If your partner says it's raining, you don't say no, it's not, right? You say yes, and I forgot my umbrella, right? That whole thing. So as an empath, welcome to Improv 101. But as an empath, when I'm on the phone with clients at first, I I find, and this is one of my things that I've been working on throughout life, especially when it comes to approaching girls back in the day, right? I'm always thinking, what are they thinking,
Yeah.
right? And I feel it, and I pick up on even just micro facial and body movements and things like that. And I feel I am very socially aware, emotionally intelligent to that capacity. I only tangent when people like you let me, but in a real conversation, I'll give them the space, right? So on a phone call, the empath in me would always detect, well, this, okay, here's another guy asking me for my money. Here's another guy selling me insurance. Here's another guy this. Here's another guy that.
Yeah.
And I looked at that as kind of a bit of a handicap because I'm like, that's not what I'm doing here, but I'm worried they're thinking that, right? And I'm feeling that they're feeling that, and my allowing myself to feel they're feeling that will only snowball, right? It'll only perpetuate the cycle and snowball. But now I realize in being back into the field, most recently and helping literally just these level up leads are crazy because like the switchboard and navigator, you're not only calling leads, but you're texting them. And then I'll send everybody 400 people a meme and hope I get 3 people to say, stop bothering me. And one person to say, oh, tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Right.
Yeah.
And then I'll call everybody on the phone again. But now the empath in me is realizing that when they filled out that form, when they clicked on that lead, when they walked the lead to the mailbox or clicked on that TikTok thing, they had a no shit moment. I don't care if they say, I don't know what you tell. I'm not looking for that. But you did
There was
click
a
on an
reason.
ad.
There was a reason.
And now the empath in me is more concerned with getting them out of their own way. That's our job. And
Hmm.
you're not doing your job if you're not strong enough. Coach Finn says this is a business of courage. You get paid in line with your ability and willingness to ask courageous questions, right?
Yeah.
Because they want the help. They don't want to be sold. They don't want to be ripped off. They don't want to be scammed. They don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to pay more than they should. That's what they're saying when they say, I'm not interested anymore. I don't want this. No, you're not interested in talking to a salesperson. Okay.
Correct.
So that is something that I think is really important in our business. If you are an empath, and I know there are a lot of empaths in our business, because so many people, unlike me, who came here for a shallow reason initially, just to get some extra money, until you get that first call when you're like, "Hey, is George there?" and they start crying, and well, he passed away 3 months ago. Okay, well, I was following up on the letter. Well, no one ever called us. Okay, these are not leads. This is not, I'm not selling window tinting. You know, these are people that need me and needed somebody else who didn't work hard enough to resolve their lead. Right.
First time I had that happen to me, I was speechless.
Me too. I
I
get
did
chills
not know
every
what to
time.
say. I did not know what to say. I was like, uh, I'm so sorry. I couldn't even ask like any questions after that. I've learned better now,
Yeah,
but that there are some that is a, and not for a salesy point of view, but that is a point in somebody's life where they really understand the benefit. If he was able to get insurance, great, they understand the benefit. If he didn't, they also understand how that can affect a family, and now you have the opportunity to protect that family.
absolutely.
Right. So because it's so fresh. But yeah, I was literally like, I did not know what to say. So
Yes, me
the
too. I
first
mean,
time.
I was a little less speechless at the same, but now no less shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, just shocked. And that's when these stopped being leads, and when dialing became more fun for me because it's not. I mean, at the end of the day, 9.9 out of 10 people don't like doing their dials. But
Yeah.
if you're on a dial team and you're doing it with people, it becomes fun. And one of the things I am loving about talking to people is just being able to navigate that initial challenge. And if you go in there with that kind of superhero mindset, I always pretend I'm on a mission and I've got 50, 50 people in here. Most of them do not want or need my help, but somebody in there desperately does. They're going to pass tomorrow. And it's
Yeah.
up to me to find out which one of those people it is and help them. And that for me, that just makes the nose so much easier and so much more fun. It's that whole go
Yeah.
for no mentality.
No,
But
that's
but
good,
now
Mark. That is really good. That's a good way to go about it, I think, for sure.
just that time bomb mentality, right?
Yeah,
Gotta
just
diffuse it.
there's going to be one or two in here that need my help, and I'm gonna find them. I'm gonna do what I need to do to find
Absolutely.
them. So,
Yeah.
with that, I have kept you for an hour and a half now, and I am so grateful that you have come on and hung out with me. But I want to ask you to do this for me. If you could tell the audience, anybody, one thing that will benefit them more than anything in their life, according to Mark, right? Everybody's answer to this question is different. I want to know, if you were sitting in front of anybody and just said, "Hey, this will benefit your life," what would that be?
Work on yourself more than the thing that you feel you desire is being worked on. And you will get what you desire. And I think the advice I give on top of that, since you popped me with it, and I bet I could come up with something much wiser.
No,
But
it's
I
great. I
but
love the raw stuff.
what I would say though, James, is read. It's free. It's a PDF online. Look it up because it's public domain. Read As a Man Thinketh. If you're a woman and you just walked out of the Barbie movie, don't worry about it. It's As a Person Thinketh, right? It was just written in 1914. If someone wants to steal this idea, steal it. Otherwise, I'm going to self-publish an Amazon version of this public domain book as a gender neutralized lesson because I think it's so important. It's a little old English. It's ye old English, right? It was written back
Yeah.
then. But again, long story short, too late. Read As a Man Thinketh, and then agree. Make a covenant. That's a strong word for agree, right? Make a covenant with yourself to follow that book to the T, and watch your life change. Watch you desire to read something else now. Watch things happen in your mind that have never happened before. It's gonna take you down the rabbit hole of book after book after book. Follow your intuition. So you asked for one thing, James, but
No, you're
Steven
great.
Spielberg, Steven Spielberg says, "Listen to the whispers." Right? That is what he credits to his journey. Listen to the whispers. We all have whispers. It's called your intuition. But for many of us, okay, we're born. Oh my God, I could have gone down a rabbit hole with Kung Fu Panda 3 right now. I'm not going to do that to you or your audience, but we're all born with powers that that fade over time because I love that you help bodybuilders. What happens if you become a bodybuilder? You did it. You made it. And now you stop working out. Is your body going to stay that way?
No, no,
And
it's
what if
not.
you're locked in a room with no you and you're not allowed to do any body weight exercises, anything? What happens to muscles when you
It
don't work them at all?
atrophies.
They atrophy,
Atrophies. Yeah.
right? Pretty soon you're going to be in a wheelchair,
Hmm.
right? pretty soon you're going to be moving it with the chin, Stephen Hawking style.
Yeah.
If you don't use it, my mom always says, use it or lose it, and you are what you eat. I will credit my mom for two of the wisest things that I didn't realize were so covered everything, and that's use it or lose it, and you are what you eat. And she always said that when she saw me drinking these gross green shakes when I was little, and they were actually healthy, Mom, and now she knows that. But what I didn't realize is she really meant it universally, right? What garbage in, garbage out. So as a man
100%.
thinketh, but going back to the whispers, because this is so important, James, we're all born with this power. We're all born with this amazing purpose. Like what you want to do and be when you're little, what you enjoy doing and being, that's what you were designed to do. And so many people take that and think, well, that's just what I did as a kid. That was just exciting, but now I got to go into the real world. No, you don't. The real world is the matrix. The real world is the one that you create with your own thoughts and reactions to those thoughts. And you can create a magnificent life, whether you're 7 or 70, right? And older. It doesn't matter. Because again, what I was saying about the Freddie Mercury, 1 year of love, better than a lifetime alone. Even if you do it, James, you and I know it as we experience things. 1 year worth of success makes 10 years of mistakes worth it all. So never,
Yes.
ever think it's too late. I love the Rodney Dangerfield story. I had no idea until about 10 years ago. Rodney Dangerfield was like 58 when he started comedy.
Yeah. That's crazy.
He was older. He was in his late 50s when he started comedy. And anyone like us who's a child of the 80s, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking Caddyshack.
I get no
School,
respect.
Easy Money. Oh,
Yeah.
Ladybugs. I mean, this guy was in his prime.
Yeah.
His
Back to
prime.
School. Love that movie.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
And here this guy is. That's when he decided to start his journey and take his passion seriously. And I just find that so powerful because people prove it all the time. But what I want to say is regarding Steven Spielberg and the Whispers is we all have intuition. We're all born with this power, this journey, this purpose. And many of us don't, because we're not taught it. We're taught so many things in school, which some are useful. Many are not as useful as they could be. And some, I feel it's criminal to not be teaching it. And that may even be by design. I think that's just insidious. But the fact is, we lose our whispers over time because limiting beliefs are louder than whispers. Limiting beliefs and things that kind of sting, right? People would rather avoid a bee sting than get a massage, right? A massage feels amazing. But if you said, hey, would you rather avoid your bee sting or get a massage? They'd be like, wait, so if I get a massage, I have to get stung by a bee? Okay, yeah, that's the deal.
Yeah.
I'll skip the massage, right? It's a wasp, call it. So that's like life. Those negative things are louder, right? The bee sting's louder than the massage. So pretty soon, our whispers become muted. And they're here, they're with us, it's inside us still. We're not listening to it. What happens, James, in a relationship when you don't listen to your partner? They become
apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apathy sets in. And apathy leads to all kinds of bad things, right? Because if you talk and talk and talk and you're not listening to, pretty soon you stop talking. You're like, they're not listening. And that's what our intuition does. And if you let that negativity outweigh your whispers, then you're kind of screwed, right? But the great news is it's always there. It can't. The beautiful thing about the whispers are they're like they employ unconditional love. The minute they know that you're going to start to listen to them, they're going to start whispering again. And this is the most exciting thing because I've experienced it personally since 2016 when I started Symmetry. And I skipped my first 3 months of reading the book of the month because I'm like, I just need to make money. No, I was that person.
Yeah.
And then my mentor pop quizzed me. I love that he did it because I didn't know how to. He caught me. He's like, Mark, why aren't you reading it? And I said, I just can't. I used to love reading. I read every day, but I just can't. Just try the 10 pages, right? So anyway, changed my life, changed the way I started emailing people, which led to different responses from them, which, again, butterfly effect. But here's the great thing about the whispers. When you decide to listen to them, they become louder. Not right away. I mean, it takes a good year or two. But pretty soon, you're going to know that these whispers are literally your angels. It's your voice inside your head that are guiding you. And when they know that you're listening, they're going to give you direction all day. And pretty soon, you will, I promise you, no matter how down in the dumps you are, no matter how much you've effed up your life to this point you feel, no matter how, whatever the case may be, it starts with just tuning into a whisper. And that might mean I shouldn't go into the pantry and have those potato chips. I always say that because I feel like the pantry is a magic room, James, where whatever you eat in there, it doesn't count.
Yeah,
Because I'm standing up, it's out of the bag, it's not on a plate, right?
Oh, it
I
counts.
feel like it's a magic portal. So I always use that as an example because,
No,
yeah.
it's good.
But anyway, I hope I've said enough. I like to beat a dead horse with that because so many people, if you're not ready, you're not ready. But I promise you, you can be ready tomorrow if you just start to listen to the whispers, and they will become louder. And then you're going to be like, and at first you'll be confused. Well, what's the difference between a whisper and a thought? You'll figure it out. You'll know. I promise. It's like, when do I fall in love? You'll know, right? But don't ignore them because, again, use it or lose it. They'll go mute on you, and you'll start making decisions by yourself, which maybe aren't the right decisions. But we all have a guide, and that guide will guide us to the right place if we let it.
100%, Mark. That to me was very sage advice. I am very grateful for you spending some time with us this afternoon and coming on because I do really believe that you have yourself laid a pretty good path that people can follow and look into to help them be more successful, not just in anything that they do, right? Any path, these lessons apply. And I am very grateful. And with that, we're going to end this thing out. You know what I always like to say, people, you get out there and you work hard. And remember, don't forget to smile. Thanks so much for watching or listening. Remember, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can find us on Facebook at Work Hard Peoples LLC or Instagram at Work Hard Peoples LLC. You can also find us on our website at workhardpeoples.com. Have a great day or night. Don't forget to smile.